Evaluation question 4. How did you use media technologies in the construction, research and planning and evaluation stages? First off, I'm going to start by reading a full list of technologies that I've used, and obviously hardware and software included. First of all, Canon DSLR 1100D camera, tripod, a lamp bulb, green screen, Photoshop C4, dafont.com, Adobe Premiere Pro, Zoom mic, QuickTime, YouTube, Weebly, Prezi, Google, iPhone, Snapchat, iMessage, Flippergram, Google Drive, a Mac, Microsoft Word, Instagram, Twitter, Powtoon, Google Slides, SoundCloud and GarageBand. Rather than going through every single one of the items that I've mentioned, I'm going to split it up by talking about my poster, my magazine, my trailer, and then obviously the research and planning and the rest of it that goes with it. So for my magazine, the technologies and equipment I used was a green screen, and I've used this because when I was taking the pictures, it was easy to edit the colour out because it's green in the background, so it wouldn't clash with the outfits or anything. Next, I used a Canon 1100D DSLR camera with a tripod to steady the camera, and that is to take headshots of Owen for the cover. To source this, I used a raw lamp with no softbox on it, so I got harsh light, and this obviously created some low-key lighting for the picture that I've used. To edit my magazine, I've used Photoshop C4, where I've placed Owen on Photoshop and I've edited my cover. Tools to mention are the quick selection tool, the Magic Wand tool, and this was used to select all the green screen that was in the picture behind Owen and then delete it or what I could get out of it. The next tool I used was the brush tool to cover some background in black to complement the low-key lighting on one side of Owen. Obviously, some of the green screen was hard to collect because it did blend in with the black background, so I had to just colour over it with the black brush. I had to resize the image, obviously, to a typical dimension of a magazine. To do this, you use the free transform control, which is in the top left corner. Next, I've got the text tool, obviously, to add the cover lines. I use the shape tool to create boxes like the Buckley's back and the red boxes at the bottom. Then I used the gradient, which I dragged over the boxes, and that was to gradient out the red colour so that you can still see the price tag. I've also basically used guides as well on the screen. So I added one along each side, and this was just to make sure that I kept things within the margin and it didn't go over and it was all the same on each side. Next, I'm going to move on to poster and technologies and equipment that I use for that. Again, we used a green screen, a Canon DSLR 1100D without a tripod this time, used a steady hand. This was to take model shots of Owen for the cover in various different poses and angles. As I do photography, that course obviously helps me a lot and how to get the best lighting and things like that. It's pretty similar to what we did with the magazine. We also used the same Canon 1100D camera to take pictures of the city skyline at night that we took at Hartshead Pike. We didn't use a tripod for this as it just looked better freehand and we can always edit the images afterwards. Again, we used Photoshop C4 to edit the pictures together for the poster. Some tools that I used in this time was the Liquify Layer tool, where you drag the edges out of the image, and this was because the picture that I originally took that I wanted to use was a portrait image and it fit fine when I was doing a portrait poster, but then obviously I changed my mind and did a landscape poster and it wouldn't fit to the dimensions that I wanted. So I've learnt to use the Liquify Layer tool, and that's how you drag the edges out so that you still keep within the image but you don't lose any of it. The resize tool, so obviously you resize the image to fit the billboard dimensions. Overlaid the pictures of Owen at the edges with the guides so that everything's still fitting, which I mentioned before in the magazine. And added text with an outer glow to bring out the lights of the city. I got some feedback from my friends to tell me to do this, as the glow is on the outside of the Loops title or the name of the film that's being promoted. It does bring out the lights in the city behind it. Next, I used dafont.com, and that was to get the text that's titled Steel Tongues, and that is the little bit of text at the bottom of my poster. You see this on every poster that's for a film anyway, and we had to copy a certain format to put that in the bottom. It was quite difficult to use this because it involved holding down shift at the same time as typing to get normal text. If you didn't hold down shift, then it would just input random words like written by that you didn't want, so you had to hold shift down so that you could type freely. Moving on to trailer, again the hardware that we used was a Canon DSLR and a tripod to film and capture diegetic sound, a Zoom mic to record voiceover of Jamie for Owen and all the things that we said. So that's the hardware. A trailer, we used Adobe Premiere Pro to edit. We drag video clips in and snip to the desired length, and also you can drag the sound in with the same again. We also added things like film dissolves and adding motion to adjust the position of the film, because sometimes when you put what you'd filmed in different clips, it wouldn't actually fit to the size of the screen and it would look out of place, so you had to then click on it, press effects, then press motion, and then you could free transform wherever you wanted the clip to go. Now the title cards that say like loops and November 14th and what goes around, hashtag what goes around, they were made in Photoshop. The sound for the trailer was made in GarageBand, and that was done by Jamie, so whatever went on there he took care of that. I know that he got some free copyright music and then he put some beats over it and he's made his own, and then we just dragged that in obviously off his computer, and then it went over the trailer and I chopped that down to where it fit best. Now moving on to research and planning, production company logos, we used Photoshop C4 where we got the shape tool and the text tool to create the diamond for Gem Pictures. Like I think we did a triangle and we put some black lines in it as it was a white logo, and then we just typed Gem Pictures above it so it fit well together and grouped the layers together, and then it all moved as one with a transparent background. And the ESS Productions was pretty similar, just the text, and we put a line in between the ESS and Productions. And we saved this as a JPEG, and then you could put it wherever you wanted. Another one to mention is Prezi, and that was doing my target audience and review. Prezi is an external site where it's basically like an updated version of PowerPoint. It's a bit more complex. So once I'd finished that, where I'd added all my information in, it's like a moving slides, and then I just embedded that into my Weebly account. Next we've got Google, and that's obviously where I source most of my images, what I've screenshotted and put into my videos, where I've done my research into genre and trailer and all my analyses. Google was like one of the big ones that I've used this year. The next one is Snapchat, and that was to get audience feedback from a group chat that we did where I inputted some fonts and then my friends decided which one was best. I've also got iMessage, and that was for audience research too, where I sent Dave, my friend, some text about my poster and he gave me some feedback on that. Also my friend Nathan, who gave me the production company logo feedback and told me which one he liked. I got a flipagram, and this was a day when we were doing some filming, different films at the time, so it wasn't just Loops, it was Hypersomnia and Divide. So then my friend Jamie went round filming on his phone, and we put it into flipagram and it just sped it up a bit, so it was like a day in the life of us as we were filming. And then I've got a Google Drive is where everything has been stored, so obviously doing work at college on editing and then having to come home and do the same thing, we needed to have an online platform where you could access it off your computer at home and your computer at college. So we put everything on there, like every time we'd film we put a video clip on there just to save it so we never lost it, and obviously just sharing files with each other. Next I've got Microsoft Word, and that was for the production documents and publication plans that we originally did. So they were already pre-made, we'd helped out each other and just filled in the blanks after it. Got Instagram, and that was some audience feedback too, where I made a poll for people, my friends and my followers, to decide whether Loops or Lads was the better name, and it came out with Lads obviously. Over 270 people voted on that. Then I've got similar, did a Twitter poll as well, and that was I uploaded 2 magazine drawn drafts and everybody voted on Twitter for the best one. Now I've got Powtoon, and Powtoon's quite similar to Prezi. It's like it's like you make presentation, however the images move and it looks a bit more professional, and I made that to display my trailer conventions in a more complex way. So that I've used Google Slides as well, and that was to create like a pitch. So again, that's like PowerPoint, However, you can input more things that you've got in your Google Drive, so it just makes it a little bit easier, as most of our stuff was stored on Google Drive. It just looks a bit better as well. Now to create, we first of all started the editor sound test, so just we knew how to use the software then. We used GarageBand, and my sound test, once I'd made it, I'd used all the elements like the loops and inputted my own things. And once that was done, I put it onto SoundCloud and then embedded that onto my blog with a button. So I could only put a music file on SoundCloud, as it wouldn't upload to YouTube. As a sound, you had to have a picture behind it, so I uploaded it to SoundCloud, and you can access that through a link, which is on my blog. QuickTime Player was also used, and that was to screen record what was going on my screen. That was obviously when I was doing editing logs, which are on my blog. So you'd press the tab in the corner, it said file, then you press start new screen record, and then it screen record the screen for you, and then you just press pause in the corner once you're done and export it as a QuickTime movie. YouTube was also used, and that was just adding all my videos onto my blog to upload. The blog system we used it ourselves didn't actually allow you to upload videos of your own. You had to pay for that extra, and obviously no one's doing that because everyone's skint. So we just added it to our YouTube channels, uploaded them on there, let them publish and process, and then we linked it back to our blogs, and then you could access it from there by embedding it. And the last thing I'm going to mention, just off the list, is Weebly, and that is what has been the most used thing this year. Weebly is our blog system. It's got everything on it. It's made you can make pages on it. So I've got home screen, I've got research and planning, my evaluation, my final product pages, and you can obviously look down the side and where it says archives, and you can see different times. You can press on different months of the year, and it'll take you to what work's been posted when. You can upload different elements, so you can YouTube, you can do media, you can upload sound to it. Moving on to evaluation questions, is only short because I'm obviously still doing them. We've got Adobe Premiere Pro, which I've used to input all of my videos and my sound onto, and then chop them up and add some pictures for what I'm talking about to add to the relevance of things I'm saying at the same time. And this was done using my phone, where I recorded my voice, which is what I'm doing right now, and I then exported this to Google Drive, where I then downloaded it on my computer at college, which is the iMac, and then I inputted it into Premiere Pro and added the on-screen title card so that everything made sense, and just chopped it all into the right place.